I moved to Colorado for college thinking the hardest part would be exams and rent. But nobody really prepares you for how quiet a small apartment can feel when you're alone at night. At first, it was just normal student life. Cheap place near campus, thin walls where I could hear my neighbor's TV like it was inside my room, and a fridge that made a loud clicking sound every few hours like it was arguing with itself. My routine was simple. Classes in the day, late nights studying when I had no choice, and whatever instant noodles I could afford when I forgot to cook. Honestly, I used to joke with friends that ramen should come with a warning label for college students. People say college is stressful. Nobody warns you about your brain turning into a horror movie at 3 a.m. But I laughed it off at the time, because I thought the strange feeling I had at night was just exhaustion, or maybe the building settling, or my mind playing tricks on me after too much screen time. That was before I started waking up unable to move, and before I saw him standing at the foot of my bed. The apartment itself didn't look like anything special when I moved in, just one of those older college buildings near campus in Colorado. Cheap rent, slightly worn carpet, walls that never really stayed warm. But I didn't care at the time. I just needed a place where I could sleep, study, and survive exams. The first night I thought everything was normal. I unpacked a few things, set up my desk, and passed out without even noticing how fast I fell asleep. That's when it started. I woke up in the middle of the night, but something was wrong. I couldn't move. Not my hands, not my legs, nothing. It felt like my body had been locked in place. My chest felt heavy too, like something was pressing down on it just enough to make breathing uncomfortable. And the worst part, I felt like I wasn't alone. I remember staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself it was just stress from moving, maybe exhaustion from classes already piling up. I even remembered my friends joking about these old student apartments, saying things like, every building here has at least one ghost story if you ask the right person. I laughed with them back then, but lying there in that moment, I wasn't laughing anymore. I still didn't think it was real fear though, just confusion. That was the first night I felt it, and I didn't even know it had already started coming back. After that first night, I told myself it was nothing. Sleep deprivation, stress, maybe my body just reacting badly to moving into a new place. That's what I kept repeating. But it didn't stop. It happened again, and again. And each time, I started waking up the same way, trapped inside my own body, unable to speak, unable to even flinch, like my mind had been pulled awake but my body was still somewhere far behind. Then one night, I saw him. At first, I thought my eyes were adjusting to the dark. There was just a shape at the foot of my bed, tall, standing perfectly still. No movement at all. Not even the slight shift you expect from a person breathing. And there was something wrong about his face. Like it wasn't fully there. Not blurry. Just unfinished, like my brain refused to process it. No sound. No footsteps. Nothing. Just him standing there, watching. I wanted to convince myself I was dreaming, but the episodes kept repeating, and each time, it felt like he was closer than before. More defined. Like he was learning how to exist inside my room. Then small things started changing. My closet door would be slightly open in the morning, even though I remember closing it. My chair would be turned a few inches different from where I left it. One night, I found my apartment door unlocked, and I know I locked it before bed. That's when I started questioning my memory more than anything else. Because something wasn't just appearing in my room anymore. It was starting to rearrange it. By the time it started happening more frequently, I couldn't even pretend it was random anymore. It was like my sleep stopped being sleep, and started becoming something I had no control over. That night felt different the moment I lay down. The room was too quiet. Even the usual apartment sounds, pipes clicking, faint hallway movement, were gone. Just still air and that heavy feeling like the room was waiting for something. Then it happened again. I woke up trapped in my body, but this time it felt tighter, like I was being held down harder than before. My chest wasn't just heavy, it felt compressed, like the air itself had weight. And then I saw him. He wasn't at the foot of the bed anymore. He was closer, standing halfway between the door and my bed, completely still. The same tall shape, the same absence where a face should be. But now I could feel him in a way I couldn't explain. Like his presence had a rhythm, and it didn't match mine. Even worse, I noticed something new. My breathing wasn't just restricted. It was syncing with the room. Every inhale I struggled to take felt like it was being matched by something else in the dark. Something that shouldn't have been breathing with me. I tried to fight it mentally, tried to force my body to move, but it was useless. It felt like my thoughts were locked behind glass. Then, for the first time, he moved. Just one step closer. Slow. Deliberate. And that's when everything in me went into panic, even though I still couldn't move. My mind was screaming while my body stayed completely frozen. The air got heavier. The room felt smaller, like it was folding inward. And then, everything cut out. No sound, no sight, nothing, just black. The next thing I remember, I wasn't in my bed anymore. I woke up outside my apartment building, standing, at dawn. Cold air on my skin, keys still in my hand, but I had no memory of leaving the room. No memory of walking, nothing in between. And when I turned back to look at my apartment window, I felt something sink in my chest. Everything looked normal at first glance. Too normal. My desk, my chair, even the faint smell of instant noodles still hanging in the air like nothing had happened. But then I walked into the bedroom. My bed was perfectly made, neatly tucked, smooth, like it had never been used at all. I stood there staring at it for a long time, because I knew I didn't leave it like that. The room felt different too. Not messy, not changed, just reset. Like time had been put back in place without telling me. And that's when it hit me. If I never slept there, then what exactly was I experiencing every night? Because something was happening to me in that room. I just wasn't sure it was happening in the way I thought it was. I left the apartment that same day. But even now, I still wonder. Have you ever woken up and felt like part of your night is missing? If you want the full story of what I found after moving out, tell me in the comments. And don't sleep on this one tonight. I don't know how many times I've woken up like this, but if you're hearing me right now, it means I finally got my voice back, even if I might have lost everything else before it. I'm awake, I think, but my body isn't responding. Not even a finger. Not even my breath feels like it belongs to me anymore. And the worst part is the silence isn't empty. It's filled with whispering. Not around me, inside me. Like something is speaking from behind my eyes, using my own head as a room it refuses to leave. I can feel them again. Those faces, pressing in. Not standing in front of me, not above me, but inside my vision, as if they're trapped between what I see and what I am. Every time I try to focus, they get closer. Every time I blink, I swear I lose something I can't explain. And just before everything started tonight, I heard them clearly for the first time. They said they were trapped inside me, and they weren't asking to get out. They were waiting for me to fall asleep again. Before all of this started, my life was honestly just normal. I live in a quiet suburban part of Oregon, the kind of place where nothing really happens except dogs barking at 2 a.m. and people pretending they're going to start jogging every Monday. I work a routine job, nothing special, mostly long hours, late nights, coming home too tired to even think properly. My sleep schedule was already a mess before any of this started. I used to joke that my bed and I had trust issues. And yeah, I used to think sleep paralysis was one of those exaggerated internet things. Like TikTok stories people stretch just to get views. I even laughed about it once with my friends. They used to call me the dramatic sleeper because apparently I would talk in my sleep, sometimes sit up, sometimes just freeze mid-nap like I was buffering. I never believed any of it was serious. Sleep paralysis, from what I understood, was just your brain waking up before your body does. You can't move, you feel stuck. Sometimes you see things that aren't really there because your mind is half awake and half dreaming. Logical explanation. Nothing supernatural. At least that's what I kept telling myself. But now I know something I didn't understand back then. Sometimes your mind isn't the only thing awake in the room. The first night it happened, I didn't even think it was real at first. I just remember waking up. Or at least I thought I did. My room was completely still. Too still. No fan noise, no cars outside, no distant hum from the street. It felt like the world had been muted right in the middle of the night. I tried to move, but I couldn't. Not my arms, not my legs. Nothing. My chest felt heavy, like something was sitting on the idea of me instead of my actual body. And then I heard it. At first, I thought it was my own thoughts drifting in. But it wasn't. The whispering started forming words. Slow, close, inside my head. We can only see through you. I remember my eyes trying to focus, trying to make sense of the darkness in my room, but the more I tried, the worse it got. Because I started seeing things that didn't belong there. Not in the room, but in my vision itself. Dark shapes, faint faces, like they were pressed right up against what I was seeing, waiting for me to notice them. And then another whisper came, closer than the first. Don't open your eyes fully. We're behind them. That's when I realized something that made my stomach drop even though I couldn't move at all. Every time I closed my eyes, it felt like something else opened them for me. After that first night, I thought it would stop. It didn't. It came back the next night. And the night after that. Every time I fell asleep, it was the same thing. Waking up stuck, trapped inside my own body while something else started using the space behind my eyes. It became routine in the worst way possible. Like my nights weren't mine anymore. So I did something I still regret. I set up my phone camera before I went to bed. I told myself I just wanted proof. Something logical. Something I could explain away in the morning. But the footage, it didn't help me. It made it worse. You can see me lying there, completely still. My chest barely rising. My arms locked in place like I'm frozen midlife. And my eyes, under the eyelids, they start moving. Fast. Not random. Like they're tracking something. Watching something. Reacting to something I can't see. And then the whispering. It changes. It's no longer broken or distant. It sounds coordinated. Almost happy. He's learning to see us. That line repeats. Again and again. Like they're confirming something to each other. And then the shadows in my vision got clearer. Not just shapes anymore. Faces. Human-like, but wrong in ways I can't describe properly. Like they're flattened against a surface I'm not supposed to perceive, pressed right up against what I'm seeing from the inside. And they started reacting to me. Every time I tried to focus on them, they leaned closer, like they knew I was finally noticing. Then came the last night. I woke up again, but this time it was different, relieved, like something had finally gone the way they wanted. I forced myself up, stumbling forward, hands shaking as I moved through a room I couldn't see. I don't know how I knew where I was going, but I did. The mirror was in front of me. I could feel it more than see it. And when I reached it, I didn't want to look, but I did. My reflection was there, standing exactly like me, except my eyes. They were open, staring straight back, but something about them didn't feel right. Like they were delayed, not fully synced with me. When I moved, the reflection hesitated for a fraction of a second, like it was being controlled separately, like it wasn't me anymore. And that's when I understood. They weren't trapped behind my eyes. They replaced what was behind them. My last real thought, before everything settled, was a warning I can't stop hearing even now. If you ever hear something whispering behind your thoughts, don't try to look closer. Tell me, what do you think they were? And have you ever felt like something was watching you while you sleep? Because I still hear them, even when I'm awake. Just quieter now.